sometimes survivors can't explain exactly why they're afraid. Because on paper, nothing like big happened. No punches, no obvious threats, no screaming, loud enough for the neighbors to get disturbed and hear it all, just because it feels wrong. Behavior that leaves someone unable to relax, sleep, or feel emotionally safe in their own home. So, in this Survivor to Survivor episode, we're talking about the psychological intimidation, hypervigilance, and the kind of fear that builds slowly over time. This is Survivor to Survivor.
Survivor to Survivor, break the silence. In the depths of silence, a voice emerges. A voice that says, "You are not alone." Welcome to Survivor, where strength rises through shared stories, where pain transforms into resilience, where survivors connect and empower each other. Your story matters. Your voice matters. You matter. Join the movement. Subscribe now. Welcome to Survivor to Survivor.
Well, welcome back. It's Friday. Let's get into today's email. So, a survivor wrote in and shared this. Hi, Tara. I don't even know how to explain this without sounding crazy. My husband and I had a really rocky relationship the last few years. He can be emotionally explosive, controlling, and cold for days after arguments. But there is something he does that scares me more than yelling. After bad fights, I wake up in the middle of the night and he'll just be watching me. Not saying anything, just sitting there on the edge of the bed or standing in the doorway staring at me while I'm asleep. The first time it happened, he said he couldn't sleep and was thinking. Another time he said, "You look peaceful when you're quiet." A few weeks ago, after an argument, I woke up and he was sitting beside me in the dark. I asked what he was doing, and he just said, thinking about how easy it would be to disappear from everyone. Then he smiled like it was a joke. Ever since then, I haven't been sleeping right. I stay half awake listening for movement in the house. Sometimes I pretend to stay asleep because I'm scared to open my eyes to find him there again. But then during the daytime, he acts normal and loving, and I start questioning myself. Am I overreacting? Is this something weird? Or is it actually something I should be afraid of? Well, first off, I'd say you're not overreacting. Honestly, what you're describing is deeply unsettling. One of the most misunderstood forms of abuse is psychological intimidation, because there may not always be a visible violence in the background, but the fear becomes constant anyway. A healthy partner does not intentionally create an atmosphere where someone feels unsafe to sleep beside them. And comments like, "You look peaceful when you're quiet," and thinking about how easy it would be to disappear from everyone, especially during periods of anger or emotional instability. Oh man, that absolutely can function as a intimidation tactic. Now let's talk about your body's response, because you mentioned you're sleeping lightly, listening for movement, pretending to stay asleep, feeling unable to relax, right? That is hypervigilance. Your nervous system is reacting as though the danger may be present, and your body often recognizes unsafe dynamics before your mind can fully accept them. What also stands out is the inconsistency, fear at night, normalcy during the day, affection after intimidation. That push and pull dynamic creates enormous emotional confusion for the victim. Because every time the abuse or something frightening in their behavior happens, the normal version afterwards makes you question your own instincts. That confusion is just part of the cycle. Now, I want you to be careful not to catastrophize, for lack of a better term, what is happening. But I also want you to be responsible. Repeated intimidating behavior, fixation during conflict, unsettling comments about violence or disappearance, or intentionally watching someone in their sleep after an argument are not things you should ignore. Especially because fear is already becoming a part of your daily life. So please trust the fact that your body is telling you something feels unsafe. At minimum, I would strongly encourage you to talk to someone you trust, documenting some of the concerning statements or behavior, creating a safety plan, and connecting with a domestic violence advocate or counselor. You don't have to wait for obvious physical violence before taking, a structured approach to this fear and taking it seriously. Feeling unsafe in your own home does matter, and living in constant emotional alertness is already harming you. So please be safe. Psychological intimidation and fear-based behavior often leads survivors to questioning their instincts. So if you've ever experienced this kind of behavior, the ones that kind of seem real small on the surface but made you feel deeply unsafe, what helped you to trust your instincts? Put your perspective in there and help someone else stop dismissing their own fear that they have going on. Survivor to Survivor exists because survivors deserve a place to talk honestly about these things, and the things in their head that don't always make sense out loud, right? So if you'd like to submit a question for an upcoming episode, email us at podcast@breakthesilencedv.org, and we'll keep you anonymous. Also, fear doesn't always have to leave bruises, but it leaves an impact. If you can help survivors through our Walmart Spark Good Roundup program, please do. Go to www.walmart.com/sparkgood and search for Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence for you to be able to round up your purchases to support survivors. Every small impact of support helps someone feel safer and less alone. And we'll see you next Friday on Survivor